Coming live from Nights of Horror Studios, it's the Mindless Horror Podcast with your host, Anthony Zaragoza. Today's guest, Noah Pinnt. And now, please welcome your host, Anthony Zaragoza. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Mindless Horror Podcast. I'm super excited for our guest today, Noah Pinnt. He is an up-and-coming filmmaker, debuting his second film on YouTube right now. The Devil Has Got My Arms. It is something that I was fortunate enough to be part of. Something that I'm glad I said yes to, and someone that I'm glad I am friends with, because this guy is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. And I could see a ton of potential for him in the future. But nonetheless, before we get into the podcast, we're going to do our segments of news. So let's get into it, man. Starting with haunt season. If you guys are watching this, it's Saturday, which means I'm in Orlando right now. Already done day 1 of Horror Nights, working on day 2. Probably having a blast. But the long-awaited Orlando trip is here. I am excited to have gone out, and I hope you guys enjoy the content that we release from that trip, because I'm very excited to show you guys how that trip went for me. First time in Orlando, Universal Studios Orlando, and Islands of Adventure, and Halloween Horror Nights 30th anniversary, all in one. It's a lot to take in for 2 days, but I think I knocked it out of the park. With all that being said, haunt season here in California did start this weekend. I know Rob went out to Halloween Horror Nights, as well as my buddy Scott. The haunt line, all of my friends over here in the SoCal area went out to Halloween Horror Nights opening weekend. I personally probably will not be watching any of the footage, only because I want to go in as blind as possible. Much like Orlando's event, I have not seen anything, so I'm going to be going in as blind as possible. But I am super excited to get haunt season up in full gear. Again, next week we have the opening of not only Knott's Scary Farm, but we have Six Flags Fright Fest, as well as other little independent haunts here and there. It's looking like it's going to be a really good haunt season, man. We have so much content, so much things planned out that we want to go check out between the major haunts, the independent haunts. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited to take you guys on this journey with me. Sammy will be there for some of the videos. Rob will be there for the majority of the videos. We got Try Not to Get Scared challenge coming up, which TLEV, if I were you, maybe just sit this one out this year, man, because it looks like I might be taking a third year in a row if Tim's my only competition this year. Even if Tim wasn't my only competition with this year, I think I would still take it third year in a row. But that's besides the point. I'm excited for haunt season. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of things to do, a lot of things for you guys to see, and I cannot wait. We have an amazing guest for you guys today, Noah Pinnt, the director, writer, and editor of The Devil's Got My Arms, a feature film which I am in briefly. So if you guys can find me, hit me up in the DMs or the comments of this video. But like I said, this guy's very talented. He's already got a whole path, a whole plan of where he wants to take his universe. And I cannot be more excited to hopefully be a part of it and just collab with him even more, because, like I said, this kid's the future. He really is. He's the next James Wan. Why be the next James Wan when you could be the first Noah Pintt, right? So with all that being said, hope you guys enjoyed today's interview. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Oh, this one looks fun. Want to try it out? The devil's got my arms. The devil's got my arms. The devil's got my arms. The devil's got my arms.
Madhouse Podcasting Network.
Please welcome to the show, Mr. director, writer, editor. Noah, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm excited. A lot of things are coming up, but
Yeah.
one thing I'm more excited for this week that's coming up is something we're going to talk about today on this show. You just finished. It's ready to go. Coming out this week. The Devil's Got My Arms, man.
Yeah, dude. I am super excited to show everyone
The
this.
next installment of the Noahverse is here.
The Noahverse. That's great.
The Noahverse, man. It's here, man. Talk to us. We're going to talk a lot about, how you came up and stuff, but talk to us a little bit about The Devil's Got My Arms, man, because this is something that, fortunately enough, I was involved with as well. So talk to us about where the idea spanned and where this is going, man.
So this film is the second film that I'm directing out of my universe, because originally I was like, I really want to create a horror film. Like, I've always been a fan of horror since like I was like 6 or something like that, because I used to be terrified. But then now, like, getting older, I'm like, oh dude, I like the feeling of being scared when I want to be scared, but sometimes you get put in that position where you feel vulnerable. And I was like really interested in that emotion and controlling people's emotions in like a good way, not in a bad way, but that kind of got me into wanting to direct a film to see if I can even accomplish that. And I was like, I want to see the process. And my first film came out, which was Can't Sleep. It came out in 2020. It got delayed because of the pandemic, but fortunately it's getting some good feedback and it's doing pretty well. And a lot of people enjoyed that. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to just end it there.
Right.
I want to continue, because it's so much fun to just collaborate with a bunch of people and just doing all these crazy things, whether it's like cool kills, very suspenseful scenes. And in this film, it does dwell a lot in those things. And it's kind of like, it's going through the storyline of 3 different characters. And one of them is the main character, and her story is kind of behind just the topic of being alone in a sense. And her name is Mary Lavelle. That's played by Hunter Reese. And she basically invites 2 other friends over, Diana Roberts, which is played by Marissa Ball, and another character named Courtney Paza, which is played by Alyssa, what's her name? Trammell. Yeah. Basically what happens is these 2 characters are staying at home and they're alone. And basically they find this game that Mary's character played years ago with her father that passed away.
Right.
And she's like, oh, like, let's just pass the time. Let's play this game. Very stereotypical, because realistically in this story, it's not really focused on that kind of stuff. It's more focused on this other character that's coming into the film. But basically they play this game, and how the game works is you stand in the doorway, you press your arms against the walls, and you count 30 seconds while listening to one of the jingles. And the jingle is like one of my favorite parts, because that's something that me and my composer created together one night. And I think it's going to be pretty catchy once you start to hear it, because I don't even think you've heard it. Have I played the jingle to you?
No, so the story of how I got involved with this is a lot of fun. I mean, Noah hit me up and it was like, listen, we're filming this thing. I want you to come down and see what's up. And I was like, all right, for sure. I came down, got to spend the day on the set, and it was just cool to see it being made. And now the day is upon us almost to see the final product. And
Friday night.
When was that shoot? That was back in like, what was that? Was that like,
oh my gosh, was it
April,
June?
May, June, something?
It was one of those.
It was the beginning of the summer. I know that.
Oh yeah, it was definitely during prime time COVID stuff, because that was like everyone was just trying to get out of the house and do stuff, and then things were spiking. But fortunately, we got it done. Yeah. It was a little wild that one night where we were filming, but
man,
it was so much fun.
That's some set stories. That's a lot of fun, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No,
oh my god,
it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, I got there. I showed up around, I believe it was like 10 o'clock. Showed up, chilled for a bit, and was just kind of watching you do your thing, asking a ton of questions. I was mostly quiet because, I am respectful when I'm on set. I like to not bother anyone, let everyone get what they need to get done. It's already a stressful environment as it is.
I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that.
That's entirely why I was quiet most of the night. I'm like, everyone's got shit to do. Mm. If they have time to talk, I'll talk, but I'll just sit here and wait to see what happens.
Mhm.
So you know, it was a lot of fun though. Everyone was getting what they needed to get done, and it was just cool to see. You know, this is like only I think the only second set I've ever actually been on to
Mm.
see how things are run. So it was a lot of fun to see this movie be made, man. So I mean, what was the biggest struggle when coming to make this film? What was your like your when you were writing it, you knew this was going to be kind of a struggle. Like, what was the biggest thing?
I feel like there's always obstacles. Like whatever you do, there's
Right.
always obstacles that come into play. And I've always been the type of person that wants to problem solve and try to tackle those obstacles and keep growing as a director or filmmaker or whatever I'm doing. So for this film, I feel like there were, besides the whole pandemic thing, like push that aside because that was the main obstacle, just trying to get everyone to come to the film, come to the set, and being able to be safe because that was like the most important thing to me, and making sure everyone was working with each other and not being all over the place. Besides that, there is a few things in the film once you guys watch it where I feel like you'll probably notice there's like a couple things that you're like, okay, that seemed like it must have taken like multiple tries. There is one scene that's happening upstairs that took a couple tries, and in my mind, I really wanted it to go exactly like how I was picturing it. Because if we had to tweak it something else, I was not going to have it in the film at all. Because it
Yeah.
was something that I've never seen before, and I really wanted to shoot it exactly how I was visioning it. And I think that was the most challenging part. Everything else went really smooth. Obviously, they were late nights. I think it was like 2 a.m. or something like that. So a lot of people were getting really antsy, but that's normal. You know, in the film business, that's like 12 hours. You know, that's a normal.
Yeah.
So I would say there is a couple scenes in the film that I would love to talk about, but I feel like I really want you guys to watch it first, and then you'll probably get it once you put two and two together. But yeah, there was a couple things that I felt like were a little bit of a struggle at first, but we got it done, and it looks so good. Like it
Yeah.
really worked out.
No,
But
it really did,
yeah,
man. I saw if I think I know what you're talking about, but you know, I
yeah,
saw a lot of how things were done that night, and I was just kind of blown away by how you worked around certain obstacles and whatnot. So it was a lot of fun to see you take on challenges head on. You know what I mean? You're like,
hmm,
you know, there was, like I said, a lot of frustrations and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you got the shot that you wanted, and that's what matters. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Your
You,
vision was fulfilled.
you just got
So
to trust in the process, man. Like it really is. Like if you trust with your crew and your cast, and they trust you, you
yeah,
can get it done. You can
yeah.
get so much done.
And
So
I will say
that's
this, man, you're probably like you're like the second director I've ever worked with.
mhm.
Uh, by far one of the chillest directors I've ever worked with thus
Thank you.
far.
I try my best. I try not to get super like in the
I
zone where I'm like, all right,
never
we gotta get done.
I
Yeah,
never felt uncomfortable. I never felt pushed away, anything. Like when it came
that's
time to
good.
work, we worked what we needed to work out. You know, we were talking in between shots and stuff when we were setting things up about
Oh
just
yeah,
random things, but
dude. It's
um hands down chillest director I've ever worked with.
Thank you. I try to make everything as chill as possible. And then obviously you want to make sure your actors are comfortable because then they can't act, you know. If they're put under pressure in the wrong way, it just doesn't come natural. It
Yeah.
feels forced. So I try my best. And that was something that I've learned over the years working with other directors. Because originally, before I directed my first film, I worked with another director, which I thank him so much because he's the one that got me into this. I would work on actor reels with him, and I did that for 2 years. Just every other month we get an actor reel, and I would watch him. And I was doing like boom operator or something, and I
Mhm.
still enjoyed it because it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I would have loved to been like a camera guy, camera operator, or like a
Right.
director. But it was awesome because I got to see it from a different point of view,
Mhm.
and I was like shadowing him. I was like, okay, I see how he's handling it. And there were a lot of times where the actors just didn't really know what the director wanted,
Right.
and even after he explains it, but the way that he took it back, he was very calm and collected. And he's like, hey, like, it's all good. Let's do it like this. And in a sense, he would act, he would do what he wanted the actors to do. And he'd be like, all right, you just got to do it the way that feels comfortable to you. And that stuck with me for, years. And that's what made this feel more comfortable for me, which made it easier for me to be giving them the comfortability and just them to be themselves.
Right.
So it really did help. And I mean, I'm glad that nobody felt uncomfortable or felt like stressed out. I think the only thing that people would be stressed out about is like if the cops get called on you, which is exactly what.
Oh man, that was a
I
night.
really,
you know what was funny is I'm the one that jinxed that. That was the funny part.
yeah,
So.
you're like, dude, the cops are gonna get called
No,
on.
I told
Would you
her
like
I
to?
was like because I think this was like day 2 or 3 of the shoot, and you know, I was you know we had some downtime in between takes, and I was like, hey, so how's everything been going? I'm like, you know, I noticed you guys are screaming a lot. Have you guys had the cops called on you yet? And fucking like not even like 5-10 minutes later, someone knocks at the door. It's the fucking police.
Three cop cars. And do you want to talk about it? Because I'm cool if we talk about like
Yeah, no,
what was
let's
going on
talk
in
about
that.
it, man.
So
Yeah.
basically, in the scene, our character Hunter Reese, or her
Like
character's name is Mary
God
Lavelle,
bless
but
her voice
Hunter.
too, man. She
Oh
probably
my
shot it that
God.
weekend.
She basically has the perfect horror scream that out of all the actors that I've worked with, no one has been close to how her voice sounds when she's screaming, because it
Right.
felt terrifying. Like
Yeah.
I felt like she was
It scared me a
really
couple
scared.
times. I was caught off
Yeah,
guard.
it's super loud, but basically, I really was not prepared for the scream, and when it happened, I was like, "Whoa! Like, what the heck? What was that?" And
Yeah.
then, literally, like an hour later, or like maybe 30 minutes later, there's 3 cop cars in front of the house, and they're like, "Oh my, are you guys okay?" Like, what we heard, like screaming and stuff, and I was like, "Yo, like, oh my god, no way!"
Oh
I
man.
forgot to put like the paper saying like hot set, so then
Yeah.
no one like was freaking out about it, but you know, rookie mistake. That was
It is what
something
it
I'm
is. You
gonna,
live and you learn and you move on, you know?
yeah.
No,
But that was such a funny experience,
I
though.
think I was more scared for her, not only the scream, but she would run downstairs,
Hmm.
and the floor was pretty slippery, and she was in socks, man, and I was scared that she was just gonna fall and eat crap, bro.
Yeah, that was something I talked to her about, and I was like, "You don't need to wear the socks. That's okay." She's like, "Oh, I'll be fine. Like, don't worry," because that was her first film that she's
Oh,
ever been
nice.
in, and I think she killed it. I think she did a really
From
good
what I
job.
saw, I mean, I didn't get to see. I wasn't there for much of the speaking stuff. Rather, I was there for
Yeah,
more of the action.
yeah,
So like for even from an action point of view, though, I mean, you have to sell the fact of being scared, just seeing something for the first
definitely,
time. You know, you just got to sell the reaction rather
one
than
hundred percent.
yeah. So even that is as hard as acting lines in a monologue or something. But I
Mm,
mean, to show the action on film is really hard, and she did an amazing job
yeah,
making us
I
believe that she was scared and whatnot.
I definitely feel like, yeah, the scenes going up, go up and down the stairs. There were multiple times where she did slip, and I remember what she said, where she kept going, which give her so much respect, because sometimes actors, they tend to, when they feel like they screwed up, they tend to stop,
Yeah.
and that's something as a director I never like to see, because especially in horror films, when someone's running, let's go back, let's take a step back. Let's go to Scream, the first Scream movie. The girl's running. She's clearly going really slow because the camera operator has to have enough like distance to be able to keep her in focus
Yeah.
and make it feel intense. But if she were to actually run, she'd go right past the camera.
Yeah.
So in that sense, she was kind of faking it, and it doesn't feel real when you watch it now.
Yeah.
But when I see certain films now where they're actually running because they have new technology where they can make it tracked so it's going to stay perfect, there's a lot of times where they screw up as an actor, but the director loves it. Like there's a scene in, I believe, the second Conjuring, where the main guy's like going up the stairs or something, and he falls, and I guess that wasn't supposed to happen, but they kept it in because they're like, it felt natural.
Yeah.
And I kept the same shot of her falling because she was like, "You need to keep that shot in." I felt like that was good, and she didn't stop. So I was like, "Thank you so much, you didn't stop," because it just made it feel real and terrifying.
Well, that's the
Because
thing
she
though
knows,
too. You brought up, you know, it feeling natural. Obviously, you
yes,
know, when you see, you know, you take a real life scenario of, you know, a character getting scared from seeing a villain for the first time or something, and them taking
yeah,
off running. You know, your natural reaction is you're not going to be running to perfection. You're going to be running with your heart racing, you know, a
hmm,
million things going through your head. So you're bound to trip, you're bound to slip, you're bound. So it's a natural reaction where if you were to
exactly.
see something like that in real life, that would happen. So I'm glad, you know, we got to keep that in the film. That's a
Oh
cool
yeah,
one right there, man. So,
yeah. It
um,
definitely, it definitely is something that I really wanted to focus on in all my films, is making sure it feels natural and kind of in that sense of like you're only focused on one thing, trying to escape. It's either the fight or flight. You know, I have some characters in future films where I'm going to have them fight, and that you'll see how some people are just different in that sense of like they've been practicing or they have experience with something else that could be more fight related, or someone
Right.
that has experience with like running and like hiding and just doing these crazy things. And I feel like it does dwell a lot with those things in this film, and you'll see that how it plays out. And it just feels like you're more vulnerable, and I love that because it's like I
Dude.
said before, messing with the emotions, man, and the feeling of suspense is something that I've always enjoyed.
When you
enjoyed
talk
doing.
about stage combat, man, it's like I've actually gotten
Oh,
to do some in high school for my theater class that I did.
mhm.
And I am seriously, when it comes to stage combat or whatever, I go full blown method. I will throw myself to the floor and straight up sell the hell out of it because, you know, I mean, yeah, you know, you just really can't be afraid to just kind of go in there and do it, man. You got to really
Oh,
sell it to the audience that you actually just got hit in the face and you fell into the floor.
it
Like
has to be a
if
100%.
you get hit in the face and then you slowly like kind of fall to the floor, it's not going to be as believable than just you naturally
Fate.
just falling to the floor. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've trained my body in a way where I know how to fall perfectly, where I don't get like super hurt, where it's only gonna hurt for
Mhm.
like a second, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna I'm not gonna hurt myself doing it. Like I just know how to do it. So,
Dude,
I
you
mean,
have to you have to be a stunt double, man. I got to
oh
see you in
man, I
one of
should,
the
huh?
on the silver screen, man. Just you you there's like a building scene where someone's jumping off landing into like a garbage bin. It's just you. It just cuts to you. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Dude, that
man.
hey, I mean, I agree with you 100%. Like it has to be, you have to go like full send, because it can't be something where you go 75% because you're not going to sell it.
Yeah,
Which is exactly, if you get hurt, you get hurt. You know, that's part of the gig. You know, and sometimes it looks really good because you're actually getting hurt. So, but if you can do it without actually being in pain,
yeah.
that's like it's the
Yeah, no,
best of the best.
we did a whole a wrestling kind of like that our performance was we had to do stage combat, but we had to build a story around it. So we did me and my buddy
Mhm.
did we were big fans of wrestling, so we did a wrestling match where
Mhm.
I'm the bad guy, he's the good guy. He's going to cash
Oh
in
yeah,
his money in the bank contract and take my title from me. And it was a lot of fun. We did it all, and we stage combat it. We even added some stuff, and the teacher was like super down with it. He was like, "Yeah, just be safe, but yeah, just do what you guys want." And I'm like, "All right, cool." I mean, you
that
know, if I
shit
hit someone
rad.
with the fucking RKO off the damn stairs, like, don't get mad at me. You know,
Oh
it's
my
just.
god,
But
just knocks them out cold.
just knocking them out cold, man. Let's take it back a little bit, man. I mean, so this is obviously your second feature that you've written, directed, and edited.
Mhm.
Talk to us about how you just got started into this life, man. Is this something you've always wanted to do? You've just always been a movie guy. How did
Oh
this life
man,
come to you?
that's a really deep question. Like I feel like I've always had the passion in me
Mm-hmm.
since I was like a wee little lad, you know, like always had that passion of film, just
Right.
basically just the different styles, different genres, and the plot twists were always something that I was a huge fan of. I loved movies that connected with each other, and they could be standalone,
Mm-hmm.
but they can also have deeper connections. A good example is like the Marvel universe. You know,
Right.
that's a pretty popular one that most people know. The Conjuring universe is another one. Like I am very fascinated with how directors connect their films to make it feel like fill in the foundation. Like you have the beginning standpoint of like the first film, and then it's like, oh, that was really good, or like that really sucked, and
Yeah.
then other films come in to kind of support it and make it stronger. So then when you go back to watch these films, it has a deeper like meaning to you. Like, okay, I get it now. Like there's a lot of things that were filled, and over the years, I've taken multiple film classes, and I have been passionate with like working as a videographer, cinematographer, and an editor, and then also doing a lot of like production work and directing. Like it's always been whatever's in the like the film industry. If there's an opportunity for me, I'll be there
Right.
because I just enjoy being around these people that all have the same vibe, they have the same energy, and they're like, you know, I want to create something. Like I want people to watch these films and be like, oh, that was fun, or like they talk about it. they talk about it with other people, whether they liked it or not. And it makes it exciting to me because it's like, it's just, I get to create these things that people can connect with other people with and be like, oh, I really loved what he did.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm a huge fan. I love that. Or like, oh, this sucked. Like, why'd you do that? So in my first film, kind of jumping ahead on that, and I'll go back. But like in my first film, there was a lot of comments when I posted it on YouTube, and I read through them all. I was like, I want to see what they had to say. And there were some pretty positive things, and a lot of people were saying like some more production issues and stuff like that. But it was cool because they had like conversations talking about like, oh, like what was he trying to say about this scene?
Right.
And that was what I want them to do. It's like I want people to discuss and think about it, because there is a bigger picture to everything that I do. I don't just do it just because like I'm like, oh, like that would be cool just to throw it in there. No, there's a deeper meaning behind it, but I'm not going to just feed it to you. I want you to think about it and solve it. And that's what made me be so passionate about directing and being a filmmaker. My main career job right now is being an editor because, like I said before, if the opportunity comes to me, like I will take it. And luckily, I'm with a really good company. I'm getting paid like pretty well, and I feel supported. So I have these opportunities to direct these films on my free time. So as of right now, these short films is more of like a hobby. But if things start to continue to get more growth, I would love to switch over or have both. Because I mean, a lot of famous directors, they're editors, and they also are like they do like music as well. So it's it doesn't have to be just one thing. You could be known for multiple, and that's what I would like to be when I get older. Like I want to be known as the guy that's like he can do all these things.
The John Carpenter, the modern day John Carpenter.
There you go. I mean, that would be. I could never get on his level though, but if I could get on the right path as him.
Have you ever heard the story of him changing his name for some of the credits in the film because he was just tired of him having him credited as like the entire film?
Yes, I have. That was something that I actually kind of related with my first film and this one as well, because I did like a pretty big chunk of it, but I was like, I don't want to keep putting Noah, and I was like, okay, I have to find a way to switch it around. But I remember someone told me about that, and I was like, dude, that is so funny.
Yeah.
That he's like, you know what, I'm gonna switch it over to some guy named Hank or something, and then go from there.
Yeah.
But I love that.
That's
I think
hilarious.
it is something that I tend to do like on multiple occasions with like the credits where I'm like, all right, I talked to a friend, I'm like, hey, you did help me on this, I'll put the name on yours for that. So
yeah.
Well,
let's just be real. I mean, this is gonna be posted after the movie came out, so it's no secret by now that yes, I'm in the film.
Exactly.
It's no secret at this point. We did. I know you ran into some complications with a lot of my stuff in post, but Noah, being the cool guy that he is, just was like, you still put in the effort, you put in the work, I'm still gonna credit you. And I'm like, I was just happy to be there.
You will be that character no matter what happened. It's still your character, which is something that I'm really happy that it, even though those little obstacles came in and we had to switch it around, I was still thinking to my head, I was like, you know what, like, yes, he did put the effort in. I was really happy that he was working through all these things, because there were some struggles at the end, and I'm like, yeah, you technically are that character. So I wanted to give you the credit that I felt like you deserved. And yeah, I mean, that
was a lot of fun, dude.
It was that shot was, it is one of my favorite shots in the whole short film. And also like with the two films that I've worked on, that final shot is one of my favorites. Like I'm a huge fan of doing one takes, which if some people don't know what that is, it's basically like literally a take that can take through multiple scenes.
The one shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
We call it like the one shot, one take. But
I mean,
yeah,
okay, for a perfect example
end
from that is 2018's Halloween, when he's gonna go kill the girl in the house and he walks down the driveway.
Yep.
One shot take. I'm a huge. Don't trust me. I love me a good one shot, dude. When I see it, me and my cousin used to watch movies together and be like, "Did you see this fucking one shot? This is amazing."
Like, yo, did you just?
Daredevil,
so cool,
I think hands down has one of the best one shots on the show.
I have not seen it, but
There's a fighting
please explain
scene.
what it is.
There's a fighting scene where he goes into a hallway. They do it a couple seasons too.
Mhm.
There's a fighting scene in the hallway, and I had read, since this was like the first kind of Marvel Netflix show, the darker versions of them.
Yeah.
There's a fighting scene where he's going door to door. He's fighting like these kind of like mob people and stuff. And then the
Mhm.
entire shot is just one scene of him fucking throwing people out of one room, coming out of the other. I mean, just YouTube Daredevil hallway one shot. And
I think that sounds so familiar. I don't know if it's been shown before to
it
me.
is, dude, it is, I think, hands down one of the best one shots I've ever seen, because I read the fact that it was no edits. It was actually a one shot. Like they did multiple takes just to get that right.
Oh
And
yeah, I'm
just
watching it right now.
kind of see that. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Daredevil as it is, and
Oh, he's such a badass character.
dude,
Like, uh,
when they had him in that black suit in the beginning, I was like, I kind of dig that black suit. That was like his starter suit.
oh yeah, yeah.
But
I
then
think I've
he
seen some
eventually
photos
went
of
over
that.
to the red, and the red looks bitchin' too. So I'm hoping they bring him back into the MCU. There's rumors that he might be showing up in Spider-Man. So
That's what I've heard. I remember watching the trailer, and a lot of people were trying to get all the Easter eggs that like were in that trailer, because there
yeah,
was like a few, like there were some pretty big ones, but yeah, there was like the one of Peter Parker where it showed like the horns. It's kind of like it's random, it's out there, but a lot of people are saying like,
Mephisto.
dude, possibly.
I've
I mean,
been waiting.
what happened? I thought he was shown in Loki where you see him in the church and they show like I don't know if you remember that, but they had like the art on the wall of like the chapel, and it was Mephisto.
Don't
That
play with
that
my emotions, Noah.
I'm like, dude,
I've been waiting
it
since
was
WandaVision, man. Don't play with my
yeah.
emotions.
Well, okay. I have a question about that. We'll go back into like the horror stuff, but I have a question about WandaVision with Mephisto. Was he the bunny or the rabbit? Because he can shape. I thought he was a stork, and then he
They never really like confirmed anything.
ah
And they really never introduced him properly, but they're saying now Doctor Strange might be his. They're saying either Doctor Strange or Spider-Man might be his first appearance, but I mean, it just made sense for WandaVision, dude. Everything storyline
mhm,
was leading up to that point where she had the
yeah.
twins and they were part of Mephisto, and I was like, okay, he's coming, and then he didn't show up.
Agatha, man, like
Agatha was. Hey,
come
she's gonna be at
on.
that Disney Halloween this year
Oh yeah,
as a
that's gonna be
character.
pretty cool to see. Yeah, the Oogie Boogie
Oogie
Bash or
Boogie
whatever it's
Bash that
called.
I can never
Yeah,
afford because it's too much.
I've
But
never been to one either.
I've been to one, but I was like a kid, and it was like way cheaper back in the day. So,
Oh yeah,
um,
inflation.
yeah.
That's never gonna go down. But
Um,
yeah,
so you're into filmmaking and everything. Then you
yeah.
decide I want to do my first film. How does the idea arise for that?
With Can't Sleep, that
Yeah. Let's just be honest.
that was
You couldn't sleep when you made it. So
it's really funny because that actually it does resolve around my troubles with like sleeping when I was younger.
yeah,
I'm a light sleeper, and I think a lot of people are light sleepers. There's some people that can just knock out like that, and I give them so much respect. I feel like now that I'm getting older, I can do that. I could just like knock out, and
yeah,
my girlfriend would be like up, like because she has like the late night shift. She'll be staying up watching TV. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna knock out, and I usually just knock out in like 5 minutes. But before, when I was in middle school, I wasn't able to do that because of the fact that I would think I would hear things move around in my room. I would hear like creaking sounds. I have like a rug floor, but it creaks a lot in certain areas. And I remember when I was younger, I felt like a presence in my room. Like I felt like really tense, like pins and needles. And I feel like a lot of people have those like dreams where it's like a lucid dream or something, but you could still feel it in a sense. I could have sworn I was dreaming, but I wasn't too sure. But I felt like a presence, and I would like hear things. And I told my mom, I was like, "Mom, like I can't sleep," which is funny because that's the title of my first film.
right.
And she got me a white noise machine, which, if you guys have no idea what that is, basically it's a box that has multiple different sounds that you could play just to kind of clear out the background sounds.
To kind of
And it kind
it's
of
kind
just
of soothing.
it's very soothing. Like
Yeah.
I remember when I first had it, I could not sleep because it was so freaking loud. And I was like, how the hell do people sleep with that? But then over the days, it starts to kind of kind of creep into your mind as a soothing sound.
Yeah.
So I can knock out on an airplane because the sound of the airplane is similar to the sound of the white noise. And there's like the ocean sound and stuff like that. But basically, that's what got me into that idea of like, that is kind of terrifying that now that the white noise is playing, I can't hear things going on in my room. So let's say someone's in my room, I have no idea.
Right.
It's like losing that sixth sense. One of the things from the sixth sense. And when I got older, I started thinking about like horror films. Like, oh, like that would be pretty cool to do a film revolving around a white noise machine as an object, because most films have something to bounce off of, whether it's like a clown or an object or like the Ouija board.
Yeah.
It's like they can base a whole movie based off of just one object.
Right.
So I had that leverage of like, okay, I don't recall seeing a film that has to do with a white noise machine. That's like literally the whole movie is focused on that. Like there's a few scenes in horror movies where they bring it in just for like set up a scare scene. But yeah, that kind of got me into it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to bring it up and pitch it to one of my friends that's a scriptwriter, and he's pretty good. He goes to USC for it. So, I mean, I was like, okay, I can trust his like feedback and criticism. And I'm pretty good at taking criticism and like finding a way to resolve it.
Right.
And he just wrecked it. He's like, dude, the story does not make any sense. Like you go to one spot, you bounce over to another one, but it doesn't flow. Like you don't have that leverage to make it flow. It's a good topic, but it just doesn't flow. And he told me, he's like, don't give up on the idea. Cause in my mind, I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to try. Cause I was in like high school where I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I remember I had like kind of like an epiphany or something about that. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to give up on this because I feel like it could lead me to somewhere greater.
Yeah.
And I did. I tried to fix it. I went through the script like 5 times, I think, and then brought it back. He read it. He's like, okay, this could work. Like, you should start trying to film it. And that was during the time where I was working with the other director and doing like the actor reels and kind of just formed together. But that's how it started. And ever since then, usually the way that I come up with these film ideas is whether I'm listening to music, because sometimes when I listen to music, I have these visions, and a lot of people do.
Dude, I listen to music and I think this can easily, like, I can literally listen to a bunch of songs and pick out. I could just think of a concept of an idea for a film, and then listen to a bunch of songs and soundtrack every fucking song to the appropriate fitting. And I could do that within an hours of work. Just kind of like listening to music, be like, this would be a good song for like this scene. Like,
dude, that's the filmmaker. I call that the filmmaker gift.
Yeah.
Because I know multiple people that have the same kind of, I think, the filmmaker gift. And you, dude, if you have that where you can think of it in literally like 30 minutes or less, yeah, you have the gift. It's not, some people it takes months because they're like, it's not something that's natural to them. And I think I'm so thankful to have that, because it's just like the creative mindset is so powerful, especially for a filmmaker to have it. And it's like, it just makes it easier to work with everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people have brought up to me. They're like, oh, at least it's easy because you're passionate for it and you're not questioning things. You're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm a little like, should we do this instead? Should we do that? It's like, usually I'm really happy that at least I know what I want majority of the time. Sometimes I don't, but it just makes it easier for everyone else to be like, okay, like he knows what he wants. Like, I'm going to do my best to give that to him.
Yeah.
And yeah, the filmmaker gift, man. It's knowing it's the music, man.
It's a blessing, but then sometimes it could be a curse.
Oh yeah.
Because I'll be fucking listening to music and be like, God damn it, now I got to write this stuff down, and I'll be in the middle of work or something. But no, it's fun though. I like doing it.
Yeah, but that's how most of the films come up for me, at least. And I've had that situation where sometimes it's at random times. Like I remember I was working at the YMCA, and I remember this is when The Devil's Got My Arms kind of came into play. I was listening to a song that most of them are 80s songs. Like they're usually like retro 80s songs for some reason.
See, I would have thought you got the idea for Devil Got My Arms by Slipknot's The Devil and I.
Oh, no, actually, like usually those music, like it gives me more of the psychological, which is really weird. like I would expect like hardcore slashers or something that's super gory and shit. But no, like when I listen to some of their songs, it's like usually for me it's psychological kind of scenarios. Like there's this one film that I want to film in the future that was based on one of the songs that I was listening to from Slipknot, and it was super random when I was listening to it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I thinking of this? But I kept writing it down. Like I usually type it in my notes or I do like a voice text.
You know what's funny is Slipknot's that band for you. That band for me for psychological horror, honestly, every time I listen to a song is Linkin Park.
Really?
Because like, after Chester passed away, which was very tragic,
Yeah.
a lot of people on the radio, were talking about it and saying now his lyrics make more sense and everything. So after, seeing how he passed and then listening to a lot of his lyrics post his death, I started really thinking like there's a lot of like built up depression this guy had that he put it in his music. And usually with psychological horror, specifically I'm looking at Hereditary and Midsummer, obviously that director. There's always something tragic that happens that leads into something worse to come.
The bigger picture.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Like, of course, with Hereditary, the mom passed away, so then they were kind of grieving over that. And then the daughter passes away, and then the mom just didn't really know how to express any of her grief. She was taking it out on her whole family, leading up to the big climax of the film. Same thing with Midsummer. The girl just lost her parents and her sister. It was a murder-suicide, and she had to deal with that grief. But the boyfriend and his friends were trying to like tell him otherwise, and then so they end up going to the place, and bunch of weird shit starts going down there.
Oh yeah.
And it's just it's so when you think of really next time you listen to a Linkin Park song, listen to really listen to the lyrics as to what he's saying in the song, and it really puts me in that mentality of this would be a good psychological horror film for what he's talking about, whether it be like one step closer. That's like my favorite Linkin Park song, and hearing that song all the time, One Step Closer to the Edge, and I'm about to break. Like, you think about that, you think of the Joker. Literally, it's one bad day, and he fucking broke. So, there's different genres for everything. You got your 80s films your 80s movies goddamn, 80s songs, that you get a lot of inspiration from. I am the same way. I listen to a lot of metal, rock, singing Johnny Cash, dude, or just even,
dude, Johnny Cash is my shit. Yeah,
I love Johnny Cash, bro. I mean, and I don't even consider him country.
Rusty
Like
Cage,
that guy's his own fucking genre of music.
It's something else, man. He's on a different level than any of like country and shit like that. It's.
I know you're a gamer, so that means you probably lost your shit in Black Ops 2 when they had Rusty Cage.
Yeah, Mob of the Dead,
dude.
That was the first time that I truly recognized who he was as an artist.
Yep.
I've heard some of his songs before. It didn't grab me, but when that happened, it's exactly with like, the way that they were visualizing it. Like, okay, you're on Alcatraz, a shitload of zombies, and you're gangsters and like mobsters and shit. What's the music that would be playing while you're fucking murking people?
Boom,
like
boom, boom, boom,
dude.
Boom.
I actually have the game right now. A buddy brought it over for me, and I'm like, dude, I'm ready to play some Mob of the Dead, man. Because the new ones are like Cold War shit. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, I know, it's not as fun as it used to be,
No, but that was the first time that I truly understood the power of Johnny, and I'm like, fucking hell.
That was the first time I really because prior to that I had seen Walk the Line, didn't really kind of grasp it as a kid. I'm like, okay, it's about this guy named Johnny Cash. Don't know who the fuck that is. As you get older, you start appreciating music and listening to music more. When I rewatch Walk the Line, I'm like, oh my god, dude, fucking Joaquin Phoenix is a phenomenal actor in this goddamn film, and you're to tell the story of Johnny Cash and then seeing him perform in the prison, like that's iconic right there, bro. The Folsom Prison.
I'm like,
that's so cool.
It is crazy how when you get older, you get more exposure to different things and different feelings, and you start to relate to what the movies are about. Yeah. You're like, oh my god, like I enjoy it because I understand it now. Like obviously when you watch younger, you'll only know certain things. You're like, okay, that's cool, like that's funny, that's sad, and then but it starts to expand and fill in those like empty spots. So I'm like,
You know what's funny
Yeah.
too is like Blumhouse, and this is kind of going somewhere else with it, but same topic of filming. Blumhouse
Yeah.
has lately been known to make essential horror remakes, but based off other film. I don't know how to really put it. Like they would take a film concept that they probably got from something else, but then add a horror vibe to it. Example, Freaky. Obviously, we know that's based
Oh,
off
I
of
love
fucking.
Freaky.
That's obviously the
Freaky
concept is
Friday.
based off of Freaky Friday, which is a
Yeah.
family movie. But then when you take
Love that
that
movie.
concept and twist it a little bit, it makes a
It can
horror
work.
movie. I'm thinking we do a Breakfast Club horror film.
Oh my, oh my God, dude! I'm so down to do that. But
Dude,
you would have to find a good cast though.
you
That
would
is something
have
that
to find a good cast.
it has to be a cast that can keep that
Well, I'm
film
already gonna
from
vouch for this
sinking.
one right here.
Yeah.
We're bringing
You're
Marissa
like, hey,
Ball
put my-
back. She's a talented actress. I think she could play the emo chick
Yeah.
really good.
Oh yeah, I think so
It's
too. I
something
think
different that I haven't seen in her very much.
Mhm.
Where to play that full on like emo goth chick role,
Mhm.
which I know that she could, if she were to take, she can make it her own.
Dude, I think that would be a really cool
Just saying, let's get to
film to
writing.
do. Yeah, I mean, hey, like, let's talk to some
If
of the
you
script
want to
writers
have
and be
fucking
like,
Zoom writing sessions, bro, you just hit me up. We'll do this shit.
hey. Dude, I'm so
I'd love
down.
to
I
collab
think
with something on you.
that would be something. I really do want to do something that's similar to how like Freaky, played out because I
Yeah.
love that film.
It was
I did
John
not get it.
Travolta, or not John Travolta,
Oh,
Vince
dude.
Vaughn. My
Vince Vaughn
God.
killed it. Because
Yes.
if he wasn't in there, if it was someone else, I feel like it wouldn't be the same. He
Nah.
played it so well,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, the kills were so good.
Yeah.
I think that was something that it
And
was
they
so
were not
unique.
CGI, so that was good.
No, that's the one thing I praise. I'm like, I'm not a huge fan of CGI. Sometimes I have to use it for certain things.
Yeah.
But it's
Practical.
usually the practical effects are the things that are going to sell it because
Which
it
goes
looks
back
so
to John
good.
Carpenter. I mean,
Exactly.
guy was
The
all
Thing,
practical.
man.
The Thing, that movie, that's why that movie is so iconic in the
It
horror
holds up.
community, because that monster to this day is fucking the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
It's so scary, and
And,
that's one of my
yeah.
favorite horror films.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The
the
Thing.
the new ones suck though because the fact of
They're
where they
supposed to be
bounced
making
over
another
CGI.
new one, so I'm
More
fingers
CGI.
crossed. Fingers crossed, and that it's at least we'll have a decent cast and story. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna be. I think it's supposed to be a reboot off Carpenters or a sequel off Carpenters. I can't remember.
They can't. I don't want
Because
them to
the
do a reboot.
The 2011 was a prequel to the Carpenter one.
It was. Yeah, I still enjoy it. It's just I was very upset that they decided to go with CGI. Their behind the scenes stuff was insane. Like just their the prosthetics and
Yeah.
all the practical effects just looked so much more
I mean,
terrifying.
it really did have a lot of potential because the cast was phenomenal. I mean, I loved a
It
lot
was
of the
great,
cast
yeah.
people, and
Oh yeah,
I think the only thing that did ruin that was the CGI monster.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's just this
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Like one small thing could just destroy a really good story.
So, Quentin Tarantino, one of my favorite directors, said he's going to make 10 films and call quits. Do you have a kind of call
list?
quit zone for you, or are you just going to keep going till you're just like I think I've done enough?
I do have an end goal. I already know where I would like to end it. I'm currently filling in the middle parts. So in a sense, it could be 5 years, like 10 years, 15 years. Like that doesn't really, I don't have an answer for
So
that.
you got kind of a Marvel Studios Kevin Feige plan where you're like, this is where we're going to start. This is where I'm going to end. Here's now I just got to fill the middle.
That's exactly what I'm doing. And I think it's something that makes it easier on me as a director to be like, oh, like if I tell the world, like I have 10 films, then it's like, what if I have another film idea that's so cool? I've already said 10 films. If I keep adding more, it's not true to like what I've said before. And I like to stick with what I say. So I'm keeping it with, I have the beginning and the end, but together, like throughout my years, I will still create the middle part.
Yeah.
Like the fat meat chunk, So that's kind of what's going on. As of right now, on the list of films, there are 7. It could
Do we need to have like an exclusive Nights of Horror live stream where you like present it like how Marvel does at Disney? Like this is what's coming in the next couple of years. You guys like the devil from The Devil's Got My Arms, where he's returning in a sequel, 2024.
Dude, that'd be, oh my God, that would be so.
I'm just saying, put something together. We can have a little event here on the Nights of Horror. I'd love to get a bunch of indie directors and have a slate of movies that's coming out to have like a little to promote their work, dude.
I love to hype things up. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed that. Like, I try to keep the social media like live on different things that I post. Speaking about that, I just emailed you something that is promoting my next film. If you want to take a look and share it, but that is the name of my next film, and I can go over a little bit of information behind it. But this one will be really fun to shoot because it's going to go super.
I could put this on the screen for the podcast.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so you guys can see it right here on the screen. The Reflection, the next film. Is this a first time announcement? Like, am I getting an exclusive here?
Yeah, this is the first time.
This is
only
exclusive.
2 other people have seen it.
The freaking exclusive first look right here. I feel like
this one's gonna be really.
This is more exciting than Jordan Peele announcing his next film for me.
Oh,
like I got the exclusive with freaking Noah right here. The Reflection. Dude. I mean, I already have tons of questions. I have tons of. Give me a brief. Do you got a brief synopsis that we can hear, or is that too much already?
I mean, I feel like I shouldn't say anything only because I know it's worth waiting on. I want you to think about it. I want to give you guys the chance to think about, like, what is this going to be about? And this is a character that has not been introduced in my 2 films that I've released. This is something that's going to be a different character, starting a different storyline, but it will be connected to Can't Sleep, because Can't Sleep is the foundation in my universe. It's like everything will connect to that, and other films will start to intertwine with each other. This one is a new story that will continue to grow throughout my universe, and I'm so excited, dude. I'm like, once the trailer drops for this film, I know for a fact it's just gonna give me so much hype. And yeah, it is a thriller and a slasher film, so it's gonna be really fun.
I'm excited for this, man. I have to ask you, man, has another genre that's popular in the horror is horror comedy. Have you ever came up with any ideas to potentially do a horror comedy in the future?
There is one that's currently in the works.
One of my favorites, by the way, I have to put on the table. What We Do in the Shadows. Love that.
Ooh, yeah,
like, that's something in that kind of style, dude. Like, it's like a mockumentary, but it's, you know, I mean, I'm a huge fan of that show. So I mean, I would love. I know your talented ass can fucking come up with something like that.
I mean, I have some really talented like directors that they specialize in comedy, and this film that it's going to be one of my feature films, because as of right now, I'm only doing short films because I want to gain enough money to be able to do it on my own without having to go to a company and they like fuck up the storyline or whatever. If I have to try to like present it to them, like, I will make sure that all the films that I do will be done by myself and people that I can trust, and not like any companies, unless they try to, you know, sponsor me. That's a different story. But
I'm excited, dude. I think that's cool that you shared that. As far as, you know, where we're going next with the Noahverse, man. I mean, Reflections. I mean, you're already getting people excited. There's a lot to definitely question about it. The minute I think of Reflection, and I'm just gonna give you my theory. I think of Bloody Mary, and I can see why that's probably why you're wearing the shirt.
Oh shit! You weren't supposed to see that, man. Yeah, good eye, man. I'm surprised that you see that, because like the face is like cropped. But yeah, actually, you know, to show everyone else. I love these shirts, by the way. This is like one of my favorite brands.
You had a Halloween one yesterday when we were talking.
Yeah, I did. I have a couple, but yeah, it does have to do with, well, obviously it's called The Reflection, but it is similar to, I mean, I can't really say anything
it's
yet.
Noah's. Let's just put it this way: it's Noah's take on Bloody Mary.
All right.
Probably a little bit even more, probably different creature at that point, because
it might be a creature, it might be a serial killer, it might be like sci-fi. It's something that I'm trying to. It might just be me that just pops
up and goes, "What's up?
Hey, how you doing?" The whole thing ends.
That's it. Just like it's just a long shot of suspense of like the girl looking into the mirror, and all of a sudden I just pop up. Hey, what's going on? Just
Hey, how you doing?
ends.
Rolls the credits.
Rolls the credits. Hey, how you doing?
Dude,
And then
that'd
just
be
like
so
loud ass
funny.
music, and then pitch black credits.
Like Insidious music. Where
Yeah.
the
Hey, how you doing?
Dude, how
Boom.
you doing? Yeah. This one. Whew, it's something different though. I will say this is a little bit of a clue. It is something that I have not done before. Um, since it is a slasher, there is a whole different category of different ideas, different characters, different like storylines that could go like around slasher being like its whole different thing of horror. But this one is just something that I feel like will be a lot of fun to shoot, and the music will be great in that one because me and my composer, we really do enjoy, John Carpenter's Halloween, like how simple the music is, but it's so powerful,
Mm.
and we try to use that in some of the films that we've worked on. With Can't Sleep, when we do the one take where the character Sarah is getting revealed, like the poster that Nia Gray releases on the news from my first film, and she basically like sees this poster and it's called The Awakening, and when that happens, like the cult people start to break in, and the music that's playing is so simple but it's so powerful, and it's like stuff like that we were inspired by that by John Carpenter. But this film is going to have it like in a lot of the scenes, and it's going to be scary, it's going to be gory. Like I'm super excited to show you guys that one, but that one's going to come out in 2022.
Oof.
So yeah,
Coming.
it's the next year one.
You have an idea, and then, I don't know if this is a little too much. You have an idea of when you want to start production on that?
So that's going to start in December.
December. Okay.
I'm not sure what dates yet, but hopefully it's going to take probably 5 days of shooting, because this one's going to be longer than The Devil's Got My Arms. Because as of right now, with all the films,
what was that? Was that a 3-day shoot plus 2 makeup days?
It was 3 days of shooting, 1 makeup day, and then there was another one that was, I don't really consider it a makeup day because we didn't go back to the house. We just shot it at mine. We did some audio work,
right?
Some like audio voice recording, but technically it was like 4 days.
Some pickups and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, dude, and that film is, the length of the film is like I think 11 minutes, so it is shorter. Because Can't Sleep was 20 minutes or like 25, something like that, and then Devil's Got My Arms is a shorter one because it's more of the one that's like short and sweet. Like I give the audience what I feel like they want, and like the twist is good. I feel like it keeps it up, and it's not something that just kind of just slips, but it still connects with Can't Sleep and the other ones, and it just builds up what the next film's going to be. And the next film, which is The Reflection, that one's probably going to be around the same length as Can't Sleep. I feel like it has more to put into it.
You got to start being a little bit more dramatic in your trailers, where you just got to go with the third film by Noah.
Just go all out.
That's exactly how Tarantino did it with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He said the 9th film by Quentin Tarantino. And I was like, oof.
I will say I would love to do something like that, because I don't mind being over exaggerated with the films, because realistically,
I got so many ideas I could throw your way, man. I do.
We could definitely talk about that.
I'm thinking. I just got done watching Planet Terror, and that's a good grindhouse film. Have you ever thought about doing a grindhouse style film?
It has never came across my mind.
We'll talk about ideas. Trust me.
I'm open to something like that. Here, if you don't mind, give me 1 minute. I have to use the restroom.
Use the restroom.
I will be right back. Here, I'll be right back. You can look. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look right there, that's my Can't Sleep poster. So what I'm doing is every time I finish a short film, I get a poster, and I'll hang it up, and it'll be all on the wall, which will be really cool to do. But I will be right back.
Yeah, dude, I just read an article right now that the Jackass cast, they accumulated the money of how much they've spent on them going to the hospital on injuries. Before, during, after filming, $24 million in injuries.
Hey, the movie's gonna be great.
With all that's all everything they've ever done from the show all the way till now.
Oh damn! Holy shit! And they're all. Dude, like that. I grew up watching those movies, and I'm so excited
for 4
to watch the new one.
Yeah.
I'm
it just got postponed again though, man, to February now.
Yeah, it's
COVID. Thanks you.
Yeah, they really want to make sure they can get as many people in the theater as possible. So like, all right, hey, We're gonna back it up till 2022. I don't give a fuck what you guys say. It's worth the wait. Just suck it up and going. And I'll be okay with that because there's some good movies coming out. Halloween Kills, that's gonna build it up. Eternals. Yeah,
Hopefully,
so, I mean,
Shang-Chi needs to do good.
Yeah, I'm like,
So we've talked about the past, we've talked about the present, we've talked about the future, man. Dude, I mean, you got a lot of stuff. You got obviously your first feature is already up on YouTube. The second one's dropping this week, or it's already dropped. This is Friday. This one came out, even though we're filming on a Monday. That's time, right?
Yeah.
Your second film just dropped, so congratulations on that, man.
Thank
Another
you.
film in the Noahverse locked in and released to the world.
Exactly.
The third film just
The
announced
Reflection.
today with production hopefully beginning in December, and you can expect it 2022. So I mean, you got a lot of work on your hands, man. And I know even though you have one production going to be starting up pretty soon, you're already thinking about the next one and the next one and the next one. So
you got to keep it going. Like it can't stop. Yeah. Once it stops, it kind of just pauses from there. So I like to make sure there's always something going. So it'll make it's just going to be such a fun ride. I know this one's going to be really fun to shoot. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one because it really does take a different turn for like slasher films, and it will have a really cool twist that I think will be really fun for everyone to watch.
Just keep in mind, unless the movie's supposed to take place during Christmas, you got to take down every Christmas decoration you film at.
Oh my god, dude, that's the one thing that I'm already talking to my producer about. I was like, dude, like if we're gonna shoot in December, like what if we see like people doing Christmas carols and shit, like going around and like setting up lights? And I'm like, oh crap, like because people like to set up Christmas lights in November. So realistically, I'm like, all right, like where we're shooting, we already know where we're going to shoot for a majority of the film, and it will be taking place in Los Angeles, and there are some good spots that I think will be really fun to shoot, and hopefully they don't have any Christmas events going on, because that would I mean, I don't mind shooting it with like Christmas stuff around. I think that's a really cool concept, but it wouldn't fit with like what's going on in the story.
Yeah.
So that is something that I'm going to make sure we are updating, making sure we check and being like, all right, there is no Christmas stuff over here. We can shoot it here and we'll be good. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, Noah's new film, The Devil's Got My Arms, is out now. Check it out. I highly suggest it. Links in the description below. Go subscribe to his page for future films, and go check out his past films as well. And Instagram, what are you on Instagram, brother? So they could check you out and follow.
It could be Noah Pinnt Films, or Yes, I'm Noah. Noah Pinnt Film is NOAHPINNT and then films. But yeah, those are my two accounts that you guys can check and look at all the cool behind the scenes stuff. Because usually what I do is once I release the film, usually the next day I post up of the behind the scenes experience with all the cast and crew and all like the funny moments that we had. So feel free to check that out, because I know you guys will have a kick out of it.
Yeah, man. One last thing I got to ask, brother.
What's up?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Whoo, dude, that's deep, man. I would have to go with probably John Carpenter's The Thing. 100%. 100%.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right there. Like I said, The Devil's Got My Arms is out now on YouTube. Go check it out. Like I said, links in the description below. Noah, it's been a pleasure, man. I can't wait to see what you have in store for the future, and I can't wait to work with you again, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Of course. It's been great. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to talk to you about it.
Oh, anytime you ever need to promote something, you just text me and we'll set it up. We've been planning this one since we recorded, or we filmed Devil's Got My Arms. Like,
yeah, it's been months.
It's been months. I told him, I was like, when it gets closer, just let me know. We'll do a plug for it. We'll do a commercial for it. So
hell yeah,
it's gonna be a good time. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of the Mindless Horror Podcast. If you did, hit that like button with that subscribe button and that bell notification. Be aware every time we put up a new video. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Knights of Horror and at Knights of Horror. I'm your host, Anthony. My guest, writer, director, editor, Noah. We'll see you guys really soon.
You're moving into a dimension of mind. You're moving into a dimension of
Podcasting Network.